Well, we made it to day 10 of the Hopeful Skeptic Daily Coffee Chat, where we talk about philosophy, religion, theology, apologetics, and just life. So I encourage you to sit back, grab your favorite beverage, and think about today's question. Does evolution prove there is no God? Well, first, I think it's important to start out by saying I believe in evolution. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't believe in evolution. Predominantly religious people, and in my experience, a lot of traditional Christian believing people don't believe in evolution, either in microevolution or macroevolution. So we can do a video on evolution, but for one, I believe in evolution. I've never not believed in evolution. I think if you value science at all, science meaning the scientific method, not this nebulous enemy being science, but just discovering information about the world and the universe and using the scientific method to test it, evolution exists. Period. End of story. But does that evolution prove there is no God? You see, for people like Richard Dawkins, in his mind, he's an extremely famous evolutionary biologist, super successful. He's also one of the four horsemen of the New Age atheist apocalypse. But in his mind, the big question, the big challenge with believing in atheism, if we'll call it that, was how did everything get here? How did the eyeball develop? If we just, exist without a creator, how was everything so perfect seeming? Like in life, when you look around, the beauty of a flower, the intricacies of an eyeball, how did this all happen? In his mind, that was the big problem, and the lesser problem was how did it all start? And so as soon as evolution was discovered, in his mind, that was, not that he was alive at this point, but in his mind, that checked off the box. Now we know there is no God, because God was needed in order to prove how things like humans could exist. And now that we know that we didn't need a God to go from way more simple life forms into extremely complex life forms like us, then now we don't need God. And we can, put the other sciences on the back burner because biology proved it, and now cosmologists, you can figure out how the universe started. But the big question has been discovered or been answered, and that's evolution. I would disagree. And I've never taken his position, even as a devout Christian. That was never my position. It was always God started things into motion in such a way that the universe can take care of itself. I'd never believed that God needed to intervene in order to rise the sun in the morning. God didn't need to intervene for a baby to be born. I don't know if you've been in the southern part of the United States, especially Florida. I don't live in Florida, but if you go to Florida, you'll see a million billboards on the side of the road and the side of the highways, and it will say, there is evidence for God, and it's a baby. And I'm like, I love the sentiment that a baby is precious, that a baby is life, and it's profound, and it makes you stand back and think about existence, life, meaning. Is there a soul? The purity of this infant. But is it evidence for God? I don't think so. Instead, I would say that life and the beauty of a newborn baby being born is completely natural. It's part of something that has evolved. It didn't need God, just as much as I don't think a dog having a baby needed God. And I'm not saying that a puppy and a human baby have the same value in my mind. That's a whole nother conversation, but those are very naturalistic things. That's how everything continues to exist, is by reproducing. So does evolution prove there's no God? I never thought that evolution had any qualm to pick with God. I always put it in its own category. if evolution was true, and I believe it is, and micro and macro evolution is what I'm talking about here, then what's the issue? People like Dawkins would say, oh, if we could come about by naturalistic means, that means God didn't do it. Well, does it? Just because a creator is able to create something that is able to do things on its own, like let's say I'm a scientist and I create a robot, and the robot's able to do tasks without me picking up its arm and grabbing the thing and bringing it back, and does that mean that that robot is all of a sudden not created? No, it just means that I created it in a way that it's able to do certain tasks. Like the most popular one in 2025 is artificial intelligence. Just because something is able to do tasks or even change and morph and evolve on its own, which is what artificial intelligence is going to and is doing and learning to do, why couldn't God have done that with the universe? If we're saying God is infinitely higher than us in intelligence and ability, and we can create something that can learn and that can change and that can evolve on its own, why couldn't God have created a thing, being the universe, being the cosmos, where things naturally come about and evolve? So I don't think that evolution disproves God in any way. I think it's either, if God did it, he created a universe where evolution exists, and that was his design. Or if it's natural, then yeah, evolution is how we got here. Evolution is being used in both scenarios. It's not just a naturalistic method. But what do you think? Does evolution prove there is no God? Let's chat about it. This has been day 10. Thank you for joining. Thank you for coming along for the journey, for those that have been seeing every day's video. And if you're new, I invite you to subscribe for tomorrow, day 11's Hopeful Skeptic Coffee Chat. Cheers and have a great day.